That's the wrong contract. Maid's daughter exposed hidden detail, saved CEO from $750 million scam. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into today's story. Imagine this, a massive multi-million-dollar deal, the kind that could change the future of a company, was on the verge of being signed. The boardroom was filled with tension as the CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the world sat at the head of the table, ready to close the deal. Around him, a team of powerful executives and lawyers were eagerly preparing to seal the agreement that would guarantee their place at the top of the corporate world. But in the corner of the room, unnoticed, sat a small, quiet figure, the maid's daughter. Her name was Lily, and she was only 12 years old. She had been brought to the office by her mother, who worked as the CEO's housekeeper. Lily had been instructed to sit in the corner, keeping to herself and remaining out of sight. She had no idea what was going on in the room, or that the fate of the company rested on the documents being signed that day. Lily's world was far removed from the high-stakes business decisions taking place just feet away from her. As the meeting went on, the conversation grew more intense. The CEO, a powerful man named Richard Harris, was poised to sign a contract that would solidify his company's position as a leader in the industry. But as he read through the contract one final time, something caught Lily's eye. She wasn't sure what it was at first. It wasn't her place to be paying attention, but something about the contract seemed off. She had seen her mother working with papers before, sorting through bills and cleaning the CEO's office. Lily wasn't completely unfamiliar with reading documents, though she had no formal training. She didn't understand all the terms, but she had learned enough to recognize patterns in the way things were written. As her eyes skimmed the contract, she saw something that didn't make sense. A clause that seemed completely out of place, a detail that the lawyers and executives had missed, but that could potentially cost the company hundreds of millions of dollars. Without thinking, Lily stood up and walked over to the table. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at her, surprised by her boldness. But Lily, with the confidence only a child could have, pointed to the specific line in the contract and said, "This is wrong. This detail is hidden. It's not supposed to be there." The room went still. Richard Harris, the CEO, narrowed his eyes as he looked down at the page Lily had pointed to. The lawyer in charge of the deal quickly leaned over to check, his face going pale as he realized the gravity of the situation. The clause that Lily had pointed out would have allowed the company to lose a significant portion of its assets if the contract had been signed without correcting it. The room was in shock. Richard Harris stared at Lily for a long moment, his mind racing. He had almost made the biggest mistake of his career, and it had been a 12-year-old girl who had saved him from it. The contract, worth an estimated $750 million, was now in jeopardy. But Lily had just exposed the hidden detail that could have destroyed everything. As the room erupted in murmurs of disbelief, the CEO's reaction was one of shock and awe. He could hardly believe what had just happened. How had this young girl, who wasn't even supposed to be part of the meeting, been the one to save them all from disaster? He knew in that moment that things had changed. The story of how Lily, the maid's daughter, exposed the hidden detail and saved the CEO from a $750 million scam would become the talk of the company for years to come. But for now, all Lily could do was stand there, wide-eyed, unsure of what had just transpired. The room was filled with a stunned silence after Lily's revelation. The CEO, Richard Harris, stood frozen, still holding the contract in his hands as the gravity of the situation sank in. The other executives, who had been so confident just moments ago, now exchanged nervous glances. They had been on the verge of signing away millions, maybe even billions, and it took a 12-year-old girl to stop them. Richard slowly looked around the room, his gaze lingering on Lily. It was clear to everyone that this young girl had just saved the entire company from a disaster. He cleared his throat, trying to regain his composure, but his voice trembled slightly as he addressed the room. "Everyone, let's take a step back and reevaluate the contract," he said, his tone sharp, yet full of gratitude. The lawyer who had been overseeing the deal immediately took the contract from Richard's hands and began scanning the document again, this time with a much more cautious eye. Lily, still standing at the edge of the table, felt a mix of emotions: relief, confusion, and a sense of awe. She had never imagined that something as simple as reading a contract would change so much. She hadn't known that pointing out a mistake could stop a multi-million-dollar deal in its tracks. As the room began to buzz with whispers, Richard motioned for Lily to come closer. "Lily, you've done something incredible. You've just saved us from a catastrophe. Thank you," he said, his voice full of sincerity. Lily, still not fully understanding the magnitude of her actions, smiled nervously and nodded. She wasn't sure what else to say. After all, she was just a kid. But Richard wasn't done. "I want to make sure that this moment doesn't go unnoticed. We're going to fix the contract, and I'll personally see to it that you are recognized for your sharp eye and your courage," he continued. Lily's eyes widened. She never expected anything like this. She had simply pointed out what seemed like an obvious error to her, something she thought anyone would notice. But the fact that no one else had seen it made her realize just how much she had changed the course of events. Richard turned to the other executives, who were now looking at him expectantly. "Let's all take a moment to appreciate what just happened here. We almost lost everything because we were too focused on the deal to pay attention to the details," he said, his voice now firm, filled with authority. "Lily showed us that even the smallest voice can make the biggest difference." The room, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, nodded in agreement. Richard then addressed Lily once more. "Lily, I want to offer you something, a scholarship for your future. You've proven that you have an incredible mind for detail, and I want to ensure that you have all the opportunities to develop that talent." Lily, overwhelmed, didn't know how to respond. She had never dreamed of receiving anything like this. In her world, she had always been the quiet observer, the one who blended into the background. But now, for the first time, she felt seen. As the meeting came to a close, Richard Harris stood up, his demeanor transformed. He had just been saved by a young girl, someone who had nothing but the power of her mind and her keen eye. He knew that this was a turning point, not just for his company, but for his own perception of what truly mattered. As Lily walked out of the room with her mother, she couldn't help but think about how one simple action had changed everything. She had never thought that speaking up could lead to something so monumental. But now, her life had been irrevocably altered, and the possibilities before her seemed endless. After the meeting ended, Lily couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. It felt surreal, like something out of a movie. A few hours ago, she was just a quiet, unnoticed child sitting in the corner of a powerful CEO's office, and now, she had changed everything. As she walked down the hallway with her mother, she couldn't help but notice the difference in how people looked at her. The executives who had once ignored her were now nodding in her direction, offering polite smiles. It was as if she had been transformed from invisible to important in the blink of an eye. Her mother, still processing everything, walked alongside her, a proud but confused smile on her face. They had left the office together, but Lily could feel that her life was already shifting in ways she didn't fully understand. The next morning, Lily and her mother were invited back to the CEO's office. This time, it was not for a routine cleaning job. Richard Harris, the CEO, had specifically requested their presence. When they arrived, they were ushered into a private conference room. Richard stood up when they entered, his smile warm and genuine. "Good morning, Lily." "Good morning, Mrs. Hayes," he said, motioning for them to sit. The room was quieter this time, and there was a certain respect in the air. "I want to thank you again for what you did yesterday. What you pointed out saved us from a massive financial loss," Richard continued. "I've been thinking about it, and I believe there's something more I can offer you. I want to make sure you have the tools and the resources to develop your incredible potential." Lily's eyes widened in disbelief. She had never expected anything like this. Richard continued, "I've spoken with my team, and we'd like to offer you a full scholarship for high school, with the opportunity to attend some of the best schools in the country. You have a talent for detail and a sharp mind. We want to help you nurture that." Lily could hardly believe her ears. A scholarship? For her? It was the kind of thing that only happened in dreams, not in the real world of cleaning offices and working late into the night. Her mother looked just as stunned as she did. Mrs. Hayes had always worked hard to provide for Lily, but she had never imagined that something like this could happen. "We also want to offer you a chance to intern at our company in the future," Richard added. "You'll have the chance to work with some of the brightest minds in the industry, and who knows, maybe one day, you'll be running your own company." For the first time, Lily felt a sense of possibility she had never imagined. A world of opportunities was suddenly laid out before her, and it was all thanks to the simple act of noticing something that no one else had. She had no idea what the future held, but in that moment, she realized that she was no longer just a bystander in the world. She had a place at the table, and she was going to make the most of it. As they left the CEO's office, Lily's mind raced. She thought about her friends at school, about the people who had always overlooked her. Would they ever believe this? How would they react to the news? But for now, she didn't have to worry about that. What mattered was that Lily had made a difference. She had been noticed, not because of her status or her wealth, but because of her mind, her ability to see what others couldn't. And for the first time, she felt proud of herself. She wasn't just the maid's daughter anymore. She was Lily, a young girl with the potential to change the world. As the days passed, Lily began to adjust to the new reality of her life. The scholarship offer and the possibility of interning at the company were like dreams come true, but she was still trying to process everything that had happened. The shift in how people treated her was unmistakable. Her classmates, who once barely acknowledged her existence, were now looking at her with awe. Her teachers, who had always been kind but distant, now treated her as if she were someone special. It was a strange feeling, but Lily wasn't sure how to navigate it just yet. Her mother, on the other hand, was still in a state of disbelief. Every time Lily saw her, she noticed the proud smile that would spread across her face whenever anyone mentioned what Lily had done. Mrs. Hayes had worked so hard for so long, and now it seemed like her daughter was on the verge of something extraordinary. But Lily remained grounded. She knew that her world was changing, but she also knew that nothing could come easy, and that success would still require hard work. Richard Harris, the CEO, had kept his word. He had arranged a meeting with some of the brightest minds at his company to introduce Lily to the world of business and technology. He had arranged for her to meet the heads of various departments, from engineering to marketing, and to sit in on brainstorming sessions where cutting-edge projects were discussed. These meetings were intimidating at first, but Lily quickly realized that she had a lot to offer. Despite her young age, she was sharp, and her ability to notice details that others missed became her greatest strength. One afternoon, she was asked to sit in on a strategy meeting regarding a new product launch. As she listened to the executives debate market strategies and sales projections, something in their projections didn't sit right with her. She was quiet at first, unsure of whether to speak up. But then she remembered the lesson she had learned in the CEO's office, the importance of speaking up when something didn't feel right. Lily raised her hand. "Excuse me, but I think there's something wrong with the numbers," she said, her voice steady, though her heart raced. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at her. Richard Harris, who was present in the meeting, raised an eyebrow in surprise, but gestured for her to continue. "If we project these sales numbers based on the data we have now, we might be overestimating the demand," she explained, pointing to the graphs on the screen. "There's a key factor we've missed. The market might not be ready for this kind of product yet." There was a brief pause as the team processed her words. Then, one of the senior analysts, who had been skeptical about the idea, stood up and nodded. "She's right," he said, looking at the data again. "We missed that variable. If we adjust the timeline and lower the initial demand projections, we can make a more accurate estimate." Lily's insight was met with stunned silence followed by a round of applause from the team. Richard Harris gave her an approving smile. "Well done, Lily," he said. "Your ability to see what others can't is remarkable. You've just saved us a significant amount of money." Lily felt a wave of pride wash over her, but she didn't let it get to her head. She knew that this was just the beginning. Her potential was becoming clearer with each passing day, but she also understood that there was still so much to learn. As the meeting ended, Richard Harris pulled her aside. "You're doing great, Lily. Keep this up, and you'll be running your own department one day." Lily couldn't help but smile. The words felt surreal, but she was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could do it. As she walked out of the meeting room, her mind raced with possibilities. The future that had once seemed out of reach now felt like something she could actually touch. She was no longer just a bystander in her own life. She was taking control of her future, one detail at a time. As weeks passed, Lily's new life continued to unfold in ways she had never imagined. The scholarship, the opportunities to intern at one of the most powerful companies in the country, and the admiration from those around her had completely transformed her reality. Yet, despite all of this, a part of her still clung to the quieter life she had once known. She never let go of the lessons her mother had taught her, the value of hard work, humility, and staying grounded. Even as she started to spend more time at the company, learning from brilliant minds and observing industry leaders, Lily remained connected to the world outside of the corporate sphere. One afternoon, as she was heading home after another intense day of meetings, she found her mother waiting for her at the door, a concerned look on her face. Mrs. Hayes had been quiet for the past few days, clearly processing the dramatic changes in their lives. "Lily, I'm proud of you. You've done something no one expected, and I know you've changed everything for us," her mother said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "But don't forget where you came from. Don't let the world forget that." Lily smiled and hugged her mother. She had never forgotten her roots, but now, she was starting to realize just how far she could go. A few days later, Richard Harris invited Lily to attend a high-profile industry event, a gala that would bring together top CEOs, investors, and influential leaders from around the world. It was a golden opportunity for Lily to see the broader world of business up close and to network with some of the brightest minds in the industry. When they arrived at the event, the atmosphere was electric. The grand ballroom was filled with shimmering chandeliers, long tables laden with exquisite food, and an air of exclusivity that Lily had never experienced before. She was introduced to several prominent figures, each one more powerful and influential than the last. But despite the overwhelming nature of it all, Lily remained calm. She knew she was there because of her mind, not her background or status. As she made her way through the room, she noticed a familiar face, one of the engineers she had worked with at the company. He waved at her and walked over with a smile. "Lily, I didn't expect to see you here," he said. "You've been making quite the impression lately. I've heard great things about you." Lily felt a surge of pride, but she didn't let it go to her head. "I'm just doing my part," she said modestly. The conversation shifted to the upcoming projects at the company, and as she listened, Lily offered her thoughts on one of the new initiatives. Her ideas were met with nods of approval, and she could see that people were starting to take her seriously. By the end of the evening, she had made several valuable connections. But more importantly, she realized something about herself. She had always been the quiet observer, the one who stayed in the background, but now she was stepping into the light. It wasn't just the scholarship, the opportunities, or the recognition that mattered. What mattered was that she had earned her place among the leaders in the room, and she was just getting started. Back at home that night, Lily lay in bed, reflecting on the events of the evening. She thought about her future, about the dreams she had once considered impossible. For the first time in her life, she felt like those dreams were within reach. She wasn't just a maid's daughter anymore. She was a force to be reckoned with, someone whose ideas and talents were recognized and valued. The road ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, but Lily knew one thing for sure: she was ready. She had already proven to herself that nothing was impossible, and with each passing day, she felt more confident in her ability to shape her own destiny. The next few months flew by for Lily. The scholarship she had received was just the beginning. She was now a part of a world that she had never even imagined, meeting powerful people, attending high-level meetings, and making valuable connections. But despite the whirlwind of opportunities, Lily never lost sight of what truly mattered to her: her family, her roots, and the quiet moments of reflection that helped her stay grounded. Her mother, Mrs. Hayes, continued to be a steady presence in her life, offering encouragement and reminding her of the lessons she had learned growing up. Every time Lily came home after a long day at the company, her mother would ask about her day, about the people she met, and about the new challenges she faced. It was in these moments that Lily realized just how much her mother's support had meant to her. While Lily's life was changing rapidly, her mother's life had stayed the same. She still worked as a housekeeper, still put in long hours, and still carried the weight of their family's responsibilities. But Lily knew that her mother's sacrifices had made all of this possible. One evening, as they sat together in their small apartment, Lily turned to her mother. "I want to do something for you," she said. Mrs. Hayes looked at her with a puzzled expression. "What do you mean, honey?" she asked. "You've already given me everything I could ever ask for." But Lily was determined. "I want to make sure you don't have to work so hard anymore. I want to buy you a house, a place where you can relax and enjoy your life. You've done so much for me, and now it's my turn to give back." Mrs. Hayes smiled softly, her eyes filled with tears. "Lily, you don't need to do that. I'm proud of you, and that's all I need. You're already giving me the greatest gift." But Lily wasn't giving up that easily. "I know, Mom, but I want to do more. I want to make sure you have everything you deserve." The next few weeks were filled with research and planning. Lily knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to make her dream a reality. She began looking at properties, figuring out how to use the money she had saved, and reaching out to people who could help her. Richard Harris, the CEO, had become a mentor to her, and he was more than willing to lend advice. "You've got the talent, Lily," he told her one afternoon, "but you've also got the heart. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it." With his support, Lily was able to make her dream come true. She bought a beautiful home for her mother, a place that was far beyond anything they had ever lived in. It wasn't just a house. It was a symbol of everything they had worked for, everything they had dreamed of. When Lily handed her mother the keys to their new home, her mother's reaction was priceless. Mrs. Hayes, who had always been the strong one, was overcome with emotion. She hugged Lily tightly, her voice trembling. "I don't know how to thank you, Lily. You've given me more than I could ever ask for." Lily smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest that she couldn't put into words. "You've already given me everything I need, Mom. This is just the beginning." In that moment, Lily realized that the true power of her success wasn't in the opportunities she had been given or the money she had earned. It was in the ability to make a difference in the lives of the people she loved. She had worked hard to get here, and now she was using that success to create a future for her family. But as she stood there with her mother in their new home, Lily knew this was just the first step. The road ahead was still full of challenges and opportunities, but she was ready for whatever came next. She had proven to herself that with determination, vision, and a little bit of courage, anything was possible. As the months rolled on, Lily's life seemed to accelerate in ways she had never expected. She had earned the respect of those around her, and her voice was now heard in boardrooms and meetings where once she had been invisible. But as much as her life had changed, Lily remained deeply committed to the values her mother had instilled in her: hard work, humility, and the importance of family. She was determined to make sure that no matter how far she went, she would always stay true to herself. One afternoon, Richard Harris, the CEO who had become not just a mentor but a close friend, invited Lily to a company retreat. It was a weekend event where the company's top leaders would discuss strategy, innovation, and the future of the business. Lily had been invited not just as an observer, but as a participant. As she entered the retreat's venue, a large, modern building surrounded by sprawling greenery, Lily felt a sense of pride. She was here because of her own abilities, not because of her background or connections. She was here because she had earned her place. Over the weekend, she sat in on sessions that challenged her thinking, listening to some of the sharpest minds in the industry. But what stood out to her the most was one particular moment during a brainstorming session. The company was discussing its next big move in the tech industry, and while the conversation was intense, Lily noticed something. One of the senior executives was pushing for a new product launch without fully considering the impact it could have on the company's existing clients. The proposal was ambitious, but it seemed a bit rushed. Lily, who had spent months studying the company's products and services, raised her hand. "Excuse me," she said, her voice steady but confident. "I think we're overlooking an important factor. While this new product is exciting, we need to think about how it might affect the relationships we've built with our current clients. If we rush into this launch without considering them, we might lose their trust." The room fell silent. It was rare for someone so young, someone still in school, to speak up in such an important meeting. But Richard Harris, sitting at the head of the table, smiled with approval. The senior executive, who had initially seemed certain of his approach, paused to think. After a moment, he nodded. "You're right, Lily," he said. "We need to factor in the loyalty of our existing customers before making any major moves. Let's reevaluate this strategy." Lily's heart raced. She had spoken up, and her point had been heard. As the meeting continued, she felt a growing sense of belonging in this new world. She wasn't just an outsider anymore. She was an active participant, contributing her insights and making a difference. After the retreat, Lily returned home, feeling more confident than ever before. But she also knew that the road ahead would still be filled with challenges. There would be moments when she would be doubted or overlooked, but she was no longer afraid. She had proven to herself that she could succeed, not because of where she came from, but because of who she was and what she was capable of. That night, as she sat with her mother in their new home, Lily reflected on everything that had happened. She thought about how far they had come, from the days of living in a small apartment with barely enough to get by, to now, where she had a future full of promise. "I never imagined it would be like this," Lily said quietly, her voice filled with gratitude. "It's all because of you, Mom," her mother replied, her voice warm with pride. "You always had it in you. You just had to see it for yourself." Lily smiled and nodded, feeling the weight of her mother's words. It was true. She had always had the potential, the intelligence, the drive. But now, she had the confidence to see it through. And with every step forward, she knew her journey was just beginning. As Lily continued her journey, the weight of her success began to sink in more deeply. She had achieved so much in such a short time, but there was still so much left to accomplish. Every day brought new challenges, but Lily had learned to navigate them with the poise and confidence that had come from all the experiences she had accumulated. One day, Richard Harris, the CEO who had been both a mentor and a supporter, called her into his office. He had something important to discuss. As she walked into the room, she could feel the air of anticipation. Richard greeted her with a smile, motioning for her to sit. "Lily, I've been thinking," he began. "You've been an incredible asset to the team. Your insight, your drive, it's something we need more of in this industry. I'm offering you a role on the executive team. You've earned it." Lily was stunned. She had always imagined herself as a rising star, but to be given a seat at the table with the top leaders of the company was something she had never anticipated. "Are you sure? I mean, I'm still in high school," she said, her voice filled with disbelief. Richard chuckled softly. "Age doesn't define capability. What you've already accomplished proves that you're ready. I've seen it firsthand. You have the ability to lead, Lily, and I believe that with your vision, you could help take this company to new heights." As the words sunk in, Lily felt a rush of emotions. This was the opportunity she had dreamed of but never imagined would come so soon. But with the excitement came a sense of responsibility. She wasn't just representing herself anymore. She was representing everything she had worked for, and the people who had helped her get here, especially her mother. The very next day, Lily began her new role. She was tasked with working closely with the innovation and strategy teams, focusing on new projects that would shape the future of the company. The work was intense, but it felt natural to her. Lily found herself thriving in this environment, offering suggestions that were not only heard but valued. Her voice, once ignored, now carried weight in every meeting. Over the following weeks, Lily became a pivotal part of the team. She helped the company reevaluate its marketing strategy, suggesting ways to build stronger relationships with both new and existing customers. Her insights led to the company's successful launch of a new initiative that was well received by the public. But despite her rising status in the business world, Lily never let it change her. She remained the same person who had once sat quietly in the corner of the CEO's office, the same girl who had worked hard for every opportunity she had earned. She still made time for her mother, spending evenings together in their new home, talking about everything and nothing. One evening, as they sat in the living room, her mother looked at her with pride. "You've come so far, Lily. I couldn't be prouder," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Lily smiled, grateful for her mother's unwavering support. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. You've always believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." The words hung in the air for a moment before her mother responded. "That's all I've ever wanted, to see you believe in yourself. You've already made me proud, and now you're making the world proud too." As Lily looked around their new home, she realized that her journey was far from over. She had achieved so much, but there was still more to be done. She had made it this far because of her determination and the support of those she loved, and she knew that with every step forward, she was building a future not just for herself, but for others as well. Lily had once been the girl sitting quietly in the corner, unnoticed and underestimated. But now, she was leading the way, proving that anything was possible with vision, hard work, and a willingness to speak up when it mattered most. As the years went by, Lily's transformation was nothing short of extraordinary. The young girl who had once sat quietly in the corner, invisible to most, was now a recognized leader in her industry. Her journey had taken her places she had only dreamed of, and every step along the way had been a testament to her determination, her sharp mind, and the unwavering support of her mother. As she continued to climb the corporate ladder, Lily never forgot the lessons she had learned from her humble beginnings. She knew that her success wasn't just about her talents or the opportunities she had been given. It was about the people who had helped her get there, the ones who had believed in her when she had no reason to believe in herself. One of the most important moments in Lily's career came when Richard Harris, the CEO who had played such a crucial role in her development, called her into his office once again. This time, he had something different to say. "Lily," he began, his tone more serious than usual, "I've been thinking about your future, and I want to make something very clear. You're not just an asset to this company. You're an asset to this world. What you've done for us, for the industry, and for yourself is nothing short of inspiring. But I think it's time for you to step into a new role, one that will allow you to lead not just within this company, but in the world." Lily, who had always considered herself just a part of the team, was taken aback. "What do you mean?" she asked, unsure of where this conversation was headed. Richard smiled, his eyes gleaming with pride. "I want to offer you the role of Chief Strategy Officer. It's a big step, but I believe you're the right person for it. You've already demonstrated time and time again that you have the vision and the ability to make decisions that impact not just our bottom line, but the future of the industry." For the first time in a long while, Lily was speechless. She had worked hard, and yet the idea that she was being offered such an influential position felt surreal. "I don't know what to say," she murmured, feeling the weight of the responsibility that came with the title. Richard placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice warm with encouragement. "You don't need to say anything. You've earned this, Lily. The decision is yours, but I hope you'll accept. We need leaders like you." After a long pause, Lily finally nodded. "I accept." The moment she said the words, she felt a wave of realization wash over her. She wasn't just the girl from a small apartment anymore. She wasn't just the maid's daughter. She was a leader in her own right, someone whose ideas and vision had the power to shape the future. That evening, as Lily stood at the window of her office, looking out over the city skyline, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. Her mother, who had worked tirelessly to provide for her, had always told her that with hard work and determination, anything was possible. Now, standing at the top of her game, Lily knew that those words were more than just a mother's advice. They were the truth. As she reflected on her journey, Lily realized that the most important lesson she had learned was that success wasn't about where you came from or what others thought of you. It was about staying true to who you are, believing in your potential, and never letting anyone define your worth. She had proven to herself that no dream was too big, no challenge too great. And as she looked toward the future, Lily knew that this was only the beginning. The world was hers to shape, and she was ready to take on whatever came next. Lily's journey from a quiet, unnoticed girl to a powerful leader is one of the most inspiring millionaire stories. This tale of determination, intelligence, and unwavering support from her mother shows how anyone, regardless of their background, can rise to incredible heights. Starting as a maid's daughter, Lily's ability to see opportunities and speak up when it mattered led to her earning a place at the table with the world's most powerful business leaders. Her sharp insights and business acumen helped her navigate the complex world of corporate strategy, and she quickly became an invaluable asset. As Lily continued to excel, her story became one of those rare millionaire stories where hard work and vision align to create a future that once seemed out of reach. Richard Harris, the CEO who mentored her, recognized her potential and offered her a role as Chief Strategy Officer, marking the next step in her ascent. But Lily remained grounded, always remembering where she came from and the people who believed in her. She didn't just achieve success for herself. She made sure to create a better life for her mother, showing the true power of determination. The impact of Lily's journey is a powerful reminder of what's possible, making her one of the most remarkable figures in millionaire stories. This is the story of how a young girl, once invisible, became a leader who now has the world at her feet.